Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. But Alana's not here, unfortunately. She has work. She's the one who has a stable job right now. But you know who is here? Someone that we recently met in LA, Dr. Jessica Zucker. She's a Los Angeles-based psychologist specializing in reproductive health and the author of the award-winning books Normalize It, Upending the Silence, Stigma, and Shame That Shape Women's Lives, and I Had a Miscarriage, a memoir, a movement. Jessica is the creator of the viral #IHadAMiscarriage campaign. Her writing has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, New York Magazine, Vogue, and Harvard Business Review, among many others. She's been featured on NPR, CNN, The Today Show, and Good Morning America, and earned advanced degrees from New York University and Harvard University. She consults for various companies in the reproductive health space. And now she is also having a media appearance right here on our podcast. And I'm so excited to have you. What an honor.
I'm so happy to connect with you. It was incredible to meet you in person. So thanks for having me on your show.
And I love what you're doing. So like I knew about you because I know you're going to be on a cover of a magazine that I write for, and that I actually was on a cover as well. And I knew about you. And when I met you, it was just so cool because it was like worlds colliding because I knew who you were. And then I met you and then we just really vibed and went for coffee. And I just love how you are talking about all this because there's a couple things. Because you have like this really like thriving practice, these two very successful books. I had a miscarriage, and it was like after I tried to get pregnant forever, I was told I couldn't get pregnant. We stopped trying and I got pregnant. And then we miscarried. And I was Googling how to run a business and have a miscarriage. And I just like couldn't really find anything on how to support me as a woman entrepreneur. And this was during the pandemic. And so I wrote an article on my LinkedIn. And I actually had a couple people reach out to me wanting to reference my article. And also tons of people were reaching out to me because I was sharing so publicly on social media saying you put into words how I feel. Thank you. And I think that also goes into your current book, Normalize It, because I'm honest about what is happening. And when it comes to mental health, depression, PMDD, my like ability to grow fibroids and not babies, and the hysterectomy I want, and all the things. And like, I think we need to speak up more. And so you have this voice and platform. So I just want to say kudos for talking about those things.
Well, thank you so much for talking so openly about the various aspects of your life and the highs and lows, the traumas. I think when we opt to stay silent, we find ourselves stuck in this sort of required cultural trifecta, really, or this cycle that starts with silence, leads to stigma, leads to shame. And both of my books really focus on sort of questioning, how can we remove ourselves from this cycle that does not behoove us and actually impacts our mental health in very negative ways.
Mm-hmm. And I think like what's really interesting is what I've learned, and maybe it's like as I'm getting older. So like I turned 40 this summer, and my husband and I decided not to have kids because we went through a lot of stuff. And I mean, I've progressively been getting more like this, and maybe you can relate, but like I've been getting more and more comfortable with my story in the way of I'm not going to dim my light to make you more comfortable. So I don't need to sugarcoat it. Like if me talking about needing a hysterectomy, and because I have fibroids, makes you uncomfortable. Like maybe that's a reflection on like, why is that making you uncomfortable? Like these are important conversations.
Exactly. But it also, it speaks to interpersonal relationships, I think, and maybe somebody else's history and, perhaps even their childhood and how much was talked about openly within their household or not. But also this just cultural veil, it's like, we don't want to talk about hard things. We do not talk about things that are laden in grief And this is a perfect example of something that is. And so grief can meander in places that don't include death, right? So grief is about a certain type of loss or even a change.
Mhm.
And I think that it actually consciously or unconsciously scares people to go into those deep places.
Yeah, and you know, it's so funny, like, I'm in perimenopause. I know I am. I can feel it. I also like, I kind of had this
Isn't it
moment.
a fun place to be?
No, no, but I had this like moment of like, oh, like I guess like I'm done that like stage of my life and I'm entering this new stage. And like for me,
Yeah.
I don't mind a little bit of wrinkles. Like, yes, I like my Botox. I don't mind my like gray hairs coming in because they look like silver and I like to pretend they're tinsel. But it was like this moment of like, well, I'm entering the like, I felt like the first time I felt like a real adult was when my mom died. I was like, oh my God, my mom is dead. I am the grown up. But
Mm.
now it's like, oh my God, I'm the grown up. My husband's about to turn 50 and like soon we can go live in seniors complex.
I mean, that's not very soon, but
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Yeah,
he has 5 years. Well, I'm like, I think it's 550 where you get a discount at our local drugstore on Tuesdays, like seniors day.
that's amazing.
I mean, I'm like, yes, you're gonna be buying all my meds.
I don't think we have that here in Los Angeles because
Oh,
that hasn't been applied to my account yet, but maybe I'll follow you wherever you
yes,
live.
come to Canada. We love you up here. Um, but yeah, I think it was just one of those like, and because of social media and like also being part of this community, the grief community where I'm meeting people like you, like I would have never, I mean, maybe I would have come across you and I wish I would have came across I had a miscarriage. Like I wish like I would have converged with you when that was happening, right? But I didn't because I was living in this small town in Canada. My
Hmm.
background's marketing and PR, so I wasn't in the grief space. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to kind of bridge the worlds of like the grief bubble of like the experts
Yes.
and
Yes.
the rest of the world and like
Right.
not take it mainstream, but like it should be woven into mainstream. And so I think it's so important that you're doing this. And like it's interesting because that time I was still doing marketing. And then 3 weeks later, my father-in-law died. And I was like, oh God, I don't know which way
Wow.
is up because my hormones were all over. And then my mom died 3 months later. And I was like, all right, I'm not having kids. I used all my big feelings. This is crazy. And I slowly transitioned from marketing into the grief space. So it's like I have this captive audience of the not grief community watching what I'm doing and talking
Yes.
about everything. My husband has asked like not to share like marriage, like he doesn't like to be on the internet. So like I talk about some things, but all of that almost ended my marriage because we
Hmm.
were the wounded helping the wounded. He had almost died right before that. We lost two parents. My dad was dying. We lost the baby. We moved and it was pandemic. And so it was so crazy and
So much loss. Oh
so
my
much loss.
goodness.
And but we worked through that. And it's like one of those things of like being really honest. And it's like we need
Yes.
support. We need help. And like we don't have to try and figure this out alone.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Since you had so much going on all at once and you were working in a different space, how did you get the support you needed after your miscarriage? Or did you sort of have to, I guess, shove it down or even ignore it or remain numb because there were so many other losses that followed?
So when I found out I was pregnant, after being told I couldn't get pregnant naturally, I was so happy. And I was telling a few people because everyone's like, don't say anything for 3 months. I'm like, I don't care. I'm pregnant now. And my
I
husband,
know.
it's like my husband, like sort of not detached, but he was worried. He's like, we shouldn't say anything right away. We got to get through the first trimester. I was like, what? I want to celebrate it now because, like, what if this never happens again? And
Exactly.
right,
Because I do get on a soapbox about this. It's sort of like, right. So why can't we celebrate the good news and relish the joy? And then if it does become bad news, then we actually have our community at the
yeah,
ready. Right.
exactly. So I, so the weekend, I'll never forget. It was November 3rd. It was, I think, the day that Donald Trump got elected or something with Donald Trump. I just remember thinking the world's falling apart. But the morning of the weekend before that, I was spotting and it concerned me. And then the morning of the miscarriage, my mother-in-law called me and was like, Dave has cancer. Your father-in-law has cancer. You have to tell Shane. I don't want to bother him at work. And then
Wow.
10 minutes later, my dad called me. My dad lived with addiction. He really struggled as he was dying. Like his mental health just deteriorated. And he's like, Blair, I'm getting evicted. I don't know what to do. And then within an hour, I was in the hospital having a miscarriage. And so Shane is high risk because he's type 1 diabetic and had a heart attack. And this was before vaccines. So like I didn't really
Wait,
want
when did your husband have a heart attack?
the fall of 2019.
Oh, just before.
I know. Wait, we're gonna come back to that. So I'm now in the hospital, like lying on the floor in the bathroom because like I had to be in the bathroom. I was making a mess, but like in so much pain. I didn't let Shane know right away because I now had the burden of telling him his dad had cancer while
Woo.
we lost the baby.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
knew the minute I told him, he wasn't equipped with the tools to hold both.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's rare to find
Yeah.
people who can.
Yeah. And then yeah, so I had to go from where I lived to like another town nearby at the time and to get an ultrasound. So I called him, was like, I'm having a miscarriage. I think we lost the baby. He's like, do you want me to come to the hospital? I'm like, no, but meet me at home. I need a ride to Whistler for an ultrasound.
Mm.
And I'm lying there and he comes in and I'm like, pretty sure we just miscarried. And also you should call your mom, like your dad has cancer. And so
I mean, what a
And so
screech.
what was happening behind the scenes, my mom started to not feel good, but because I wasn't feeling good and the miscarriage happened, my mom and sister kept it from me. And they were in a different part of Canada. And so Dave had cancer and he died 3 weeks later from that day, like to the date. And so that weekend, Shane's like, do
Oh
you want me to stay
no.
around here with you? I'm like, and I also was kind of just like, there's so many feelings. And I'm like, I knew he wanted to go be with his dad. And I was like, something said like, send him to go be with your dad. Go be with your dad. I'm so glad I did. So he got to go be with his dad. And then eventually when Dave went into the hospital, Shane wasn't allowed to go see him. So I'm so glad I sent him away. So
Wow.
friends sent, I got some ice cream and flowers and it was great, but like I didn't have any resources. I didn't know what to do. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, my father-in-law is like the dad I never had and he's sick. We
Oh
didn't think
my
he was going to
goodness.
die. The day he died, he was supposed to go for chemo. They were getting him ready to send him for chemo, and then they called the family in.
Wow.
Okay, so that's happening. And in the
That is
background,
so
my mom's starting to not
extreme.
feel really good. I'm starting to go for all these tests.
Mm.
So I didn't really have time to recover from
No.
anything. And then, like, so my mom learned she had cancer. So that was, Dave died the end of November. And then end of January, we learned my mom had cancer. And then she died 3 weeks later. And she was told she'd be fine. And she went into the hospital in pain. And they said, Sharon, you have 2 weeks left to live. And she died 3 days later. So it
What?
was so chaotic. And my sister and I were like, as much as we could be there for each other, but losing our mom that way at 62, just turned 62, it was so traumatic.
I
And
mean, this is unfathomable. I'm so
right,
sorry. There are no words, really. There are
thank you.
no
So
words. But I
so
mean, like
and so
you deserve therapy 5 days, like 8 days a week, basically. I mean,
listen, one
just
day when I can afford that,
yeah,
but like I've done so much work, Jess. Like
yeah,
so
it's
like and
just
then
so
also
much.
while that's all happening, my dad is dying. And my dad died the same year as my mom in the same week, but like a year apart.
What?
So I had a grief therapist, I had a psychologist. I got to a point with both of them when they're like, you're doing everything you can. I was like, I know I can feel better. I had a friend get me a gift certificate. Like instead of sending flowers, she bought me a session with a death doula, which was actually really, really nice.
Ooh, that's
And it was a
amazing.
really beautiful present. And actually she channeled my mom and like some cool shit happened there, which was really neat. And
Wow.
then I did some plant medicine because like traditional therapy stopped working. And that's how I ended up in
Yeah.
the grief space because I became the expert I wish I had. And I started
Mhm.
doing all the research to figure out like, how do I rewire my brain? Yeah. And so like I learned the neuroscience to rewire your brain and I would try things out and what worked, I documented and I created the navigating grief framework, which is based on neuroscience to help you strengthen your resilience muscle and move through those hard times. And I realize now, like, there were things I was doing well before. Like, I have a gratitude practice I've been doing for 10 years, every day, no matter what. The day my mom died, or the day before my mom died, my mom's last words were her gratitude practice. She goes, I'm grateful for you, you, and you. And we're like, Mom, who's the third you? And she goes, me. Those were the last words.
Oh, wow. That's so profound.
Right. I know. So, I mean, I got through it with support of various mental health experts and
Yes.
family and friends, but like also I'm one of the first people in my social circle to go through anything like this, and like losing two parents like that.
Yeah,
I,
consecutively. And
right.
I mean, so, but do you feel like you've had the ability or the time or the space or, I don't even know the sort of like the landscape to be able to allow yourself to truly fall apart?
Oh, I was apart. I was not together. I wasn't suicidal, but I didn't stop work. And my work for the Global Resilience Project and the work that I'm doing was featured in a book. And I was put on a billboard in Times Square, my very first billboard. And I remember being there and like proud, but I couldn't feel it. And I had this
Mm,
thought of like, not, oh, I want to kill myself, but if I die, it's fine. Like life's really hard. Like I'm ready to go.
mm,
And I got back to the doctor and I got medication. And like I when I did my medicine work, it was me and two guides for 4 days. I was a mess. Like I can't remember a chunk of that period of time. Like not the medicine work, but like that period of
yes.
grief. It's
Yes.
like I fully disassociated. Like
Yeah.
I was working with clients, and then all of a sudden my brain just like forgot I was in the middle of projects, and I just like
Of course.
I just thought I was gonna die, and I decided to go to Africa and open a children's center for at-risk youth because I was like I should spend all my money because I'm gonna die and my marriage is gonna end, so I may as well spend every penny to my name. And like
Mm.
I had like it's like I didn't have an official psychotic break, but like my brain broke.
Well, I think when there's so much trauma and you're so flooded and survival mode is like no longer even working, it's what's the alternative, right? I
Right.
mean, I think you felt so close to death because death was everywhere.
And it still is. Like so back to Shane's heart attack.
Oh,
On the
right.
6th anniversary of his heart attack this October, he had a stroke on the day. Wild, right?
That's eerie.
So and now I'm living in this place, and I'm honest about it online. I say it on my podcast. I'm living in this place of being present. Like one of my words this year is presence, being present when I'm with him, but
Mhm.
also preparing for when I become a widow.
I mean, do the doctors think, is this imminent? Is there something that he needs to be?
Well, he's almost died twice in 6 years. He's 49. He's type 1 diabetic and an extreme athlete. He might be here for 30 more years, but I'd rather be prepared
What were
because
the effects of the seizure, though?
the stroke,
Oh, the stroke. I'm sorry.
well, he still doesn't have full use of his left side. He's about 75% better. So like he doesn't have full like strength in his hand or his leg. So he
Mm,
was walking with a limp. He's back. He's skiing. He skis better than he can walk, which is fine because he loves skiing. It's his life.
wow.
And he's working, but he's really tired. So he
Mhm.
started physio. He's doing his exercises. Right now he's sober. We're working on just keeping his like cholesterol and blood sugar levels and like his heart rate, everything that needs
Yeah.
to stay in the parameters of healthy. That's our goal. And I said to the doctor, like, what can we do? He's like, our job is to keep Shane alive. I'm like,
How,
okay.
how does one prepare to become a widow? The way you just put that was really interesting to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing is like the heart attack blindsided me. Like I knew there was health complications with diabetes, but I was just like it. So now it's like, first of all, it's in my awareness that something might happen. And I'm not like preparing it. It's not like I have this like earthquake kick, like the widow kick. I probably should.
Yeah,
Um,
actually that should be your next project.
oh my God, yes, for all my free time.
Yes,
But
exactly.
like, depending on where I'm living, like I have like my sister, she has 3 bedrooms. She's like, something happens, you have a place to land here. if, if I'm in the house I'm in now, like I will sell it. I don't need this. I don't know if I need to still live where I live. I don't know. It depends on where we are in life. We both we both have insurance policies. If something happens to each of us, we're updating our wills and just kind of like making sure that like when my mom died, I felt like I don't know what to do. Where like now I have so much experience with death and that process of like the admin versus the griever. I feel like I have more tools, like reluctancy.
You sure do.
Shane's like, I want to be like, because now it's not gonna be like, where do I bury him? He's like, I want to be cremated. I'm like, great, I'll cremate you. I'll keep some of you. We'll scatter you in all the places you ski.
Woo! This
know,
is intense.
I know, but this is my life though. Like for
I
you, it's intense,
know.
and it is intense, but also it's my reality. And
Exactly. And I think it's so bold and so poignant that you talk about it and so clearly, and again, I do wonder though how it sort of lands in the recesses of your heart and your psyche, like as you're going to sleep at night, like you know what I mean? Like
despair.
it's
like Alana the other day was
yes.
like, how are you doing? I'm like, I feel like my despair is lifting, but I wasn't aware that I had the despair. I think it's just also it's so heavy in the world right now. And like
That's
I'm in
right.
Canada, luckily. Like I can see what's going on down where you are and
Yes.
what Iran and like, being Jewish and what's happening to Jewish people around the world and the Middle East. Like there's just and like there's war everywhere. It's just a really heavy time. So it's like, how can I stay grounded? And like, yes, I have huge goals. You know that Alana and I are working on some big projects.
Yes, you are.
We're doing a book proposal. We're working on a TV show. It's not picked up yet, but good things are happening. I'm not really supposed to talk about it, so you didn't hear it from me. And so, but like, I have these goals. I have places I want to travel, things I want to do. So I'm actually really working on not only nervous system regulation, which I feel like I have, but I have all these tools for grounding, because it's like when I lose it and I become undone, it's like I feel like, oh my God, the weight of the world is on my shoulders, because I did take a lot on. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to focus on the here and the now, would be where my feet are. And sometimes I just grab a word search book and I'm just looking for words. And I'm learning about frogs of the world. Or,
Those are really important distractions.
Because like from the outside, especially if you're new to me, you're like, holy shit, you've been through a lot. Yeah, I have.
Wow. And I would think that your anxiety is through the roof, but like since you have these tools, it seems like your feet are actually on the ground and that you're not spiraling.
Honestly, my anxiety was like in the deep grief, out of control. Like out of control. I couldn't survive. I haven't had it pretty managed the last few years. And then last year when I got officially diagnosed with ADHD and got medicated, it's like my anxiety melts away when I take the meds.
Oh.
And I feel like what I assume neurotypical people feel like. And I can function in like, I'm still very productive and creative, but instead of 500 ideas coming out of my mouth at once, it's one at a time.
Right.
But I'm human. Like I can't drink coffee and take my pills if I'm stressed out. I can take my pills and drink matcha if I'm on a date. You know what I mean? Like it's also, where am I in my cycle? Like I have PMDD. So like, am I going to like shoot laser beams out of my eyes? I'm like, oh, look at the moon cycle. I'm like, I guess I need to go for a hike.
Oh my goodness. The amount of things.
But this is about you, and it ended up being me talking. I want to hear more. I know, like
I love to hear about you. And when we met in person, I was just so struck by your vulnerability and your, ability to articulate the most important elements of being human, life and death and everything in between. And so I do so appreciate you. And I love learning more about your life trajectory and what's ahead for you. So
yeah. And if you're listening and you're a sponsor out there, you want to pay for therapy 8 days a week.
Right.
You know what though? Like, I mean, I believe everyone should have various mental health tools and experts. Like, I have someone I call my spiritual healer. I have an EMDR therapist. Like, I'm always like, I'm going to be forever in therapy. When I don't know, are you woo? Or are you more science? Are you a little bit of both?
I think I'm more science, but I'm open to woo. Like I live here in Los Angeles, so I see a lot of everything, and I love to learn about the various things people are doing.
I was at a point where I was like I almost relapsed. I didn't. I'm 7 years sober, but when I was going through all this grief, and I was at the point where like someone wants to give me a healing thing I've never heard of, help. Like I can't get any worse.
Yes.
And so when I went to Ghana to open the children's center, my friend Godsway, who I opened it with, he was like, do you believe in voodoo? I was like, yeah, why not? I don't know anything about it. And then he told me about this voodoo witch healer who used to be like the media personality, and then he's the chief of his tribe because they have lots of tribes there. Anyways, I'm like, oh my God, I want to meet him. So I added this guy on Facebook and we messaged because he's like, who's that? Like it's not, Ghana's not a huge tourist country.
Right.
Spiritual tourism there isn't a thing. And so he's thinking, who's this white girl from Canada who's an author adding me? And we chatted for a bit, told me about his writing. I told him who I was. And he's like, do you believe in magic? I'm like, yes. He's like, what about witchcraft? I'm like, yes. And he's like, and he told me that about him, about his abilities and his spells. And he's like, if you're ever in the area, you should come by. I'm like, well, what do you know? I'm in the area. And so at the last night of my trip in Ghana, the last day I went and saw him. And so I came, and people come from all over Africa, or that part of Africa, to see him. They line up and sometimes sit there for days. He brought me in, took all my jewelry off, and I spent 2 hours with him doing spells. And I'm talking like, I don't even know what we were doing. At one point, we were doing a libation and we were pouring, I think it was vodka or gin on a crocodile, and there was turtles running around.
What are you talking about?
We were doing spells.
Oh
and
my
he gave
God.
me actually this black tourmaline rock that I lost after 2.5 years. It fell off of me because the energy, it was like, you're done. I'm done protecting you. But anyway,
wow.
And it was really special. Like I was wrapped in this white sheet, holding this like incense broom thing, standing in a white circle of powder, like chanting at the sun. Like,
I need to see actual footage of this.
I'll send you a text of a picture. Like that stuff, obviously you can't capture it, but I'll send you some photos from them.
This is like unbelievable.
But anyways, see why I'm going to be writing a prescriptive memoir. But anyways, it was actually such a special experience because I kind of like started my spiritual awakening after my mom died.
Yeah.
But I think like as you're listening and we get to know each other and the listeners are here, you can see that I share so comfortably because I know that parts of my story might resonate with someone. I don't share things I'm not comfortable with sharing, but I'm also an extroverted extrovert and I pretty much share almost everything.
So when is your memoir coming out? We need it.
I got to first get the proposal finished. Alana and I are going to do it together. Remember we talked about that? We're going to do it together. It's going to focus on the Navigating Grief framework. And while we're working on the TV show getting picked up and the memoir proposal simultaneously. So I'd like to have the draft
big things
soon. Yeah. I'd like to have the draft done in the next couple weeks and then figure out how to pitch it.
So what is it like to write a memoir with two people? Like how do you do that exactly?
So it's really interesting and there's no rules. But we have our framework, the grief framework, which is what the main kind of meat and potatoes are. But each of those elements, we want to have every element talk about the science behind it, also other like studies, and then personal stories. And so some chapters will have like some sections, like there's going to be 5 sections with multiple chapters in each section. So either there's going to be a story from Alana, a story from me, or a story from both of us, or by both of us, depending on what it is on like how we got through the grief.
Profound. We need it. It's totally
and like
Alana,
and it's like again, everything is like dry, dark humor. Like I'm writing about my medicine, my medicine journey. I did a couple and I had this profound experience where like the medicine took me to a place where I was like standing with my arms wide open at the edge of a cliff over this like lush jungle, and a rainbow full of butterflies shot out of my heart, and I was having this Care Bear stare, and this level of happiness flooded me in a way that I didn't even know existed. And I came out of that and I was like, what was that? They're like, medicine shows you what's possible. I'm like, so I can feel that happy. Like, even if I can get a fraction of that in this lifetime, I've done it. And that's what I'm striving for. Because that level of happiness, I didn't even know was even an option.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe, as humans, we're not meant to live that level of happiness every day, right?
Or we are born with that level of happiness, and
it's there,
and it's kind of like clouded with all the other stuff. Like humans are born to hate. I don't know. Anyways, it's just really interesting because like I have been keeping journals for 5 years, so going back and reflecting and Blair 5 years ago was like I mean, it was dark. They're hard to read.
I'm sure.
But I think the
You were
work that
in the
you're doing,
trenches.
yeah, and I think like with you, normalize it. Like I'm almost done it. I tried to finish it before this, but I had work to do for my TV show project that took a lot of
What? You're busy? How? Yeah.
But like, your book's available in the show notes. There'll be a link to her website, but normalize it, upending the silence, stigma, and shame that shape women's lives. Like I literally just told you, like I had a psychotic break and like everyone died and like my fibroids. Actually, have you ever heard of this? So I have a fibroid the size of a plum and a fibroid the size of a blueberry. So I call them my plum and my blueberry. And I always joke, can't grow a baby, but I can grow a fibroid. But
Oh,
when I'm
goodness.
scheduled for my hysterectomy, which who knows when that's going to be, I want to have a fibroid farewell party.
Oh, I've
And
never
I'm
heard
going to have a
of this.
registry for things I need for recovery.
Stop it.
I'm not
Stop
having a baby
it.
shower. I'm having
Send
a
it to
fibroid
me.
shower.
I'll sign up. I want to support you through that. Yeah.
Right. It's going to be, yeah. So, but anyways, I'm just honest about all this. Like I come from a community where growing up, you keep your skeletons in the closet, but like the closet doors are off the hinges.
They sure are. It just doesn't do us any good to keep our pain tucked away, and it often morphs into things that are unmanageable. And so why not just be open, be honest, be transparent, and try to get the support that we need and deserve.
I know. Oh my God. I think I need to have you back so we can do more of you talking.
All right, I'm here. I would love to connect with you anytime.
Yes, and like maybe we can go down, like maybe if anyone's listening and they want her to go down anything specific or you have questions, we can actually take that and focus on that. Miscarriage, we can talk about anything you want, anything that's on your mind.
Yes, I'm here for deep conversations all the time, anytime.
Feels like it's your podcast, and I the Blair and Jess show.
I love it.
Thank you. Okay, let's end with a piece of advice from you. If there's someone listening, a woman is listening, and they have stuff going on, but they're just like too scared to share it, even with their partner.
Yeah.
What advice would you have?
Yeah. So a lot of what I get into in the book, Normalize It, are the various ways that we can process our pain. And storytelling is the greatest antidote to the silence, right? So, yeah, just being real, being open, and not leaving it trapped inside of us. And so, I realize, even as a therapist myself, that not everybody is interested in psychotherapy necessarily, or maybe they don't have the resources, or maybe it's not available, whatever the case may be. There are other ways, of course, to process what we're going through. So in the book, I try to expound upon those things. So, for example, even journaling. So if you don't want to tell your partner, you don't want to tell your friend, you haven't even reached out to your doctor about it, journal.
Heck yeah.
Because the thing is, you can even burn that journal. So it doesn't even have to live anywhere. The point is to kind of validate your experience by putting it on the page. Right. And sometimes when we have things bubbling in our minds, we do too much questioning. And women in particular, we end up feeling, guilty or ashamed, or did I do something wrong? Am I making too big a deal of this? Writing it down, getting it moving is a great beginning.
Beautiful advice. And that's what we're doing here. We create space for storytelling. There's a neuroscience behind it, neurocoupling, right?
Exactly.
And those are such wise words. And that's right. You don't have to show anyone or tell anyone, but get it out of you, put it on paper. No one ever has to see it. And it's so powerful. Thank you so much for joining us, me, myself, and I, and all of us.
The collective you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the work you're doing and the person that you are.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in for another episode. You are going to get through it. It may not feel like it, but you will. Put one foot in front of the other. And just remember, friends, you are resilient AF.
That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward? Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.